Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the Geospatial Enrichment Webinar 3. My name is Vanessa Marinakis and I'm the Events and Communications Manager at the GTAV. I'd like to welcome our presenter, Jenna Williams from Esri, Australia, and introduce Kaz Schofield, our Events and Communications Officer, who is supporting us today. Before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge and show my respect for the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. In my case, that is the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations. I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions, culture, and hopes of Aboriginal Australia. I also extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people present. In terms of the program for today, Jenna will present until 5:30 p.m. During the session, can I please ask that you keep your microphone and camera off? The session will be recorded, and in the coming days, all registrants will be sent a link to watch the video replay, along with any recommended resources. I would like to introduce our presenter, Jenna Williams, the Education Project Manager at Esri, Australia. Over the past 10 years and 3 continents, Jenna has been fortunate enough to work in and around her 2 greatest passions, marine science and STEM education. Jenna has seen firsthand how important the element of location is when it comes to supporting her fellow environmentalists in their work to protect endangered species, delicate ecosystems, and from an educational point of view, the enlightenment of young minds in environmental issues. In Jenna's role at Esri Australia, she assists the next generation of Earth advocates to sharpen their STEM skills, preparing them for the challenges ahead. I'd like to now hand over to Jenna.
Thank you, Vanessa. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yep. Yes, we can see. Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you, Kaz. Okay, as very lovelily introduced by Vanessa, my name is Jenna Williams. I'm the Education Program Manager for Esri Australia. I've been a marine scientist for the past 10 years, and I've also worked at Esri Australia for the past year. Today, we're going to have a little bit of a look at the application of StoryMaps for your educational purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive right in because I know we are on a little bit of a time limit. And then any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and I'll have a look once I've finished the presentation and try and get through all those questions, okay? So getting straight into it, everything that I am about to talk about, we have a step-by-step video or PDF or something available for you on our Esri Australia GIS for Schools webpage. So please, if you're getting a little bit lost or if you're becoming a little bit overwhelmed, please don't think that you have to remember every single thing that I'm saying. If you come to just a Google page and search Esri Australia GIS for Schools, this page will come up. And if you just scroll down to the Learn ArcGIS card, everything that I'm about to go to is categorized into little areas here. So specifically for today, the story maps. If I click on that card, it's actually going to have like step-by-step of planning, creating, and like using the story map. So just know that that is there. And if you get a little bit lost, please don't feel like flustered or anything. We have that resource there for you, okay? All righty. So jumping straight into it then, once you are signed up for the GIS for Schools account, which I assume most of you are, if someone isn't, that's absolutely fine. I can touch on that at the end. But once you get your account and you get it activated, you can actually come onto this homepage here. Now, yours will actually say the name of your school, not what mine says. Mine says that because I actually look after all the schools, universities, environmental education centres, and TAFEs in the whole of Australia. So if I don't respond to your email within 5 minutes, that's why. So bear with me on that one. But basically, this would be your home screen, okay? Just a very quick orientation. When you're creating a map, so when you're using maps, you know, for your assessment pieces or whatever, you would go to this tab here. Scene is our 3D version. So for example, those of you who've used Google Maps, on the Google Earth, sorry. It's exactly the same apart from you can create maps in it. So 3D, really good if you're into like architecture or engineering. I'm going to skip over Notebook. That's basically looking at coding. Groups is an amazing area to go for, especially teachers, because this is where you can go to actually create the groups of your different year levels or classes. For example, if I've got Miss Williams Year 7 Geography class and Miss Williams Year 10 History class, I can actually create those groups separately so that only the resources that I need to share to that specific group are available to that group rather than them having to see everything. Okay. Content is where you would go to create some of your content. So for example, when you create a map or a story map or anything online, it will actually end up in the content here. So my content is everything I create. My groups is like I just mentioned about segregating your students into their groups. That's where you would go to find their content for your specific groups. My organization is, if I am in an organization with Vanessa, for example, and I create something amazing that I think would be beneficial for Vanessa to use, I can actually share that content to my organization and Vanessa can find it in here and then use it at her own leisure, okay? Organization is the last tab up here. And this basically just allows you to add your students to the account, have a little bit more admin privileges. So see your see what's been going on in your account. Okay. If I go far right here, I get to this little waffle next to my face. In the waffle, you have all these applications here. Now, these are just the online applications. You also have desktop applications available to you with the program, but I'm definitely not getting into that right now. As you can see from these 6 at the top, these are my most frequently used, and these are the most used for education. So you can see story maps right there, which is obviously what we're going to be looking at today. So all I would need to do is log into my ArcGIS Online account, go to this little waffle next to my face and click Story Maps. Okay, and that's going to actually bring up the Story Maps account, which I will do in a second. I just really quickly want to show you something because it's quite beneficial for what I'm going to show you in a bit. Okay. In my content, I've got this coral bleaching Great Barrier Reef web map here. Okay, so if I open that, it kind of just looks like this. So it's got sea surface temperatures and it's also got the coral bleaching of the Great Barrier Reef. Okay, now I'm going to save that for later, but just remember that map because we're actually going to be implementing this map into our story maps later. So I just want you to understand that the map that I created in this map tab here, I then saved it and it's now in my content here. So for future reference, when you're creating your story maps and you want to embed one of your maps into it, that's where your maps will be in my content. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this little waffle and click Story Maps. Now, this is going to bring up my Story Maps homepage, okay? So anything that I have created, Story Maps wise, is going to be here. And just like last time, I can see my stories, I can see my favorite stories, my group stories, or my organization stories. So again, if I create something amazing and Vanessa wants to use it, for example, it would be there, yeah? Before I actually get into how to create one of these, I just want to give you a few examples of what a story map even is, okay? So, okay. So for those of you that aren't actually too sure what story maps are, it's a really immersive, engaging way of presenting data, showing your field excursion results, presenting to your class, getting your students to present on a topic, or simply just bringing a subject to life. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through a few examples, and then we're going to actually get into the nitty-gritty of how you create one of these, okay? So in true Esri style, we have a really fun video. It only goes for a minute, but I'm just going to play it because it'll show you a little bit of an overview of what story maps are. Okay, so I'm not sure if you could actually hear that or not. I think someone actually just messaged me and said that you couldn't hear it, but it's actually, if I go back to the learning resources, it's actually that video right there. So for example, if you're on the Esri Australia website and you go to the GIS for Schools page and go to the Story Maps tab, like I mentioned before, it's actually that first video right there. So if you do want to watch that video and actually hear it, because apparently you couldn't, it's there, okay? So going back to where I was. So I've just got a few examples of what you can actually do with story maps, okay? So as I mentioned previously, I've been a marine biologist for the past 10 years. So I always have marine science examples in what I'm doing, which is actually really useful because I know you have quite a big content unit on, environmental impacts and environmental hazards and that kind of thing. So environmental science and geography really do link hand in hand. And that's why I always feel like these marine examples are quite useful. We've got some examples on natural disasters, study of disease breakout, so malaria, and historical events. So I just threw a history one in there. I know everybody here is geography, but I know sometimes teachers connect with all of the humanities. So yeah. And then I just showed you like the possibilities are endless. So to get into it, I'm just going to show you one of my favorite story maps, just to kind of give you an overview of the potential of these creations. So this story map is called Illuminating the Deep. This is available for you. So it's all public and available for you to use if you want to. And this is a story map basically on how you would present data that you did maybe in a field excursion. This is a story map from Dr. Kathy Sullivan, who's one of our Esri representatives. She's also an oceanographer and an astronaut, so massive overachiever. But we created this story map for her because she actually went on an expedition to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. So for those of you that don't know, the Marianas Trench is the deepest part of the ocean. And so we created this story map for her excursion. So again, going out on geography field trip excursions, this is just the kind of thing that you could potentially do. So as I start to scroll through it, you can see we've taken on a little bit of a journey. And you can also get these to autoplay by themselves, by the way. So if I turn on autoplay here, it'll start moving by itself. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to scroll through it. And what it's doing is it's actually pinpointing the exact location in the Earth and taking us deeper and deeper and deeper until we find the Marianas Trench. Now, as it's given a little bit of an overview of the actual expedition, we've got this really engaging video behind us of just kind of like an overview, a very brief overview of the project. So you can see them in the submersible there going down to the bottom of the trench. Another amazing thing, which is why I like to show this one as an example, is because it actually has an audio interview included into it.
The process of getting into orbit is intense.
So, for example, if you have your student talking about what their story map is about, or if you have them, going out into the field interviewing people about, what they think about the impacts of, the local park or whatever it might be, you can actually get them to implement an audio into their story map, which can actually be really useful, especially if you are wanting to prove that your students aren't being biased in their conclusion or whatever. Okay, so you can have all these kind of quotes here, and you've got images, and as you can see, it's very visually striking. Like straight away, it's quite impressive with like the content. You can implement maps into this, so I can move this map around, I can click on it and get the pop-ups. So all the maps that you actually put in your story are interactive. As I'm scrolling down again, there's actually another story map embedded here. So for example, if your students are working in a group and you have all different story maps to present, you can actually embed the different story maps within each other. As I'm scrolling down again, this is another video that's automatically started playing. So it started to kind of express around the Ring of Fire and what actually was the creation of the Marianas Trench. So I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I'm just going to scroll down briefly and show you this bit. So this is how absolutely extra these story maps can be. These guys even created a cartoon animation that they embedded into their story. And the reason that I want to show you this is because I just want you to understand the enormous potential that you can do with this if you are creative enough. I couldn't tell you for a single instant how you create the animation. That was not done in StoryMaps, that was done in a different program, but you can embed things into it, okay? A video here from the bottom of the trench, and then it also ends on like a really nice video, which has actually got audio and everything about the entire presentation and the entire excursion. So I'm going to close that one for now, just so I can show you this one. Now, this one's a little bit more relevant to geography, because I know you do have a unit on malaria and, you know, environmental hazards and that kind of thing. So this one, as soon as it opens, we're immediately brought into a third world country suffering from malaria. We might not be sure where exactly we are yet, but we know what we're doing, yeah? So as I scroll down, the reason why I wanted to show this one is because of this bit right here. So they have really useful content tabs, okay, which kind of just stands as your table of content. So if I click on any of these, it'll immediately take me to the place where I just clicked, okay? Really useful, again, if you're looking at several different topics or something. So as I scroll down this one, you can see the images are changing. And we've got quite a few things embedded into this one. So this is called a swipe, and I'll show you how to do this in a minute. But basically, as I swipe, it shows kind of like a before or after. This is amazing for the unit of deforestation, you know, showing before and after the trees were removed, or before and after the war, you know, like the actual damage that was caused. I'm sure you can come up with a million other examples, but yeah, this is called a swipe. So I'll show you an example of that in a minute. And again, as I'm going down, things are just changing, you know, there's a lot going on. This is called a world bounce around map, okay? So this is basically, as I click on any of these, I can be zoomed in automatically to the location. It brings up a YouTube video of, you know, the people suffering from malaria in that particular area, and it's got the information down the side here. I can also click on any of these points on the map. So for example, this one, and be instantaneously taken to that content as well. Yeah. So this is just a really nice one to show you because there's just so much going on in this story map. This one, for example, is a map that's been embedded from ArcGIS Online. If I click anywhere on the map, it actually brings up all the pop-ups and the information. So again, just reaffirming that all the maps are, you know, you can engage with them. There's a legend down here as well for you to have a look through. And again, I'm not going to spend too long looking at these, but I just want you to kind of get an understanding of the potential that you could do and start those, like, you know, creative juices flowing about what you actually might be wanting to do with your story maps. Okay. All right. So let's actually get into then how to create one of these. And I've got a few examples left, but there I'm going to show you them ones once we actually get started into creating. So if you do have an ArcGIS account and you would like to follow along with this bit and actually, you know, do what I'm doing, then please, by all means, go for it. If you want to just kind of watch and practice later, then that's absolutely fine as well. So I'm going to go back to my homepage and I'm just going to click New Story. Now, it's going to bring up some options. If I go start from scratch, I just get a little bit more availability of what I can start with. If I do one of these quick starts, it just immediately takes me to, if I show you this one, that's the sidecar. So where I was scrolling before and the images were changing behind me. The guided map tour, that was as I was scrolling, it was like bouncing into different locations in the map. And then the Explorer map tour, that was where I clicked on the individual icons and it zoomed into that location. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm actually just going to start from scratch. It's going to start launching my story. Okay, so once I've actually opened it, I'm faced with a blank page like this. If I go up to this design tab right here, I've got a little bit more availability about what I can actually do with this. So maybe I want my cover to look a little bit different. Maybe I want, you know, the picture to be in the background and the title on the front. if you want, I'm going to say this bit very slowly because people get stuck on this bit. If you want the content tab, like I showed you with the malaria one, where you can click on the content and bounce to the different areas, you have to select navigation. You have to switch that on, okay? And switch it off. Switch it on if you want the content tab. Okay. Then you've got these themes here, okay? So you can actually browse for different themes, but these are the main ones that we used. So for the example today, I'm actually going to create a story map on climate change. And that's why I showed you that coral bleaching map before, okay? So I'm actually going to use the theme of tidal for my story map because I'm going to be looking at ocean temperatures and things. So it makes sense. Okay, I'm going to click off that and go back to my title. So I'm going to learn to spell. Coral bleaching. A story about the impact of climate change. Okay, and again, if I go to that design tab, you can just see things are moving. So now my cover looks a little bit differently. Yeah. Okay. From here, I can actually go ahead and add an image as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I've got a nice image behind my text as well. So that's literally just the cover. If I scroll down, you can see this bit here that says add headings to your story, okay? What I need to do for that is start actually producing some content, okay? So you'll see this is a completely blank story, but I've got this little plus button right here, okay? If I click on that, I'm just going to go through the options that you have, and then we'll start to actually create a story map, okay? So under basic, you've got text. A good thing to remember about text is if you can do it in Word, Microsoft Word, you can do it in text. So highlighting, making things different colors, linking, you know, if you want to be able to click on a button and link it into a different website, for example, you can do that. Bullet points, you know, making things bold, anything like that you can do. And that's obviously where you would start writing your content to fill out your story. Next, we've got button. Now, button is kind of like an eye-catching point. So, for example, you know, follow us on Facebook, click here to learn more, you know, sign the petition, whatever it might be, that's where you can put the button. And I will show you these in a second. I'm just going through them. Separator. Separator is to actually, if you're doing different topics, so maybe you've got several students working on a different, on the same story map, and you want to just kind of separate, you know, who's doing what content. I'm going to skip over code. This is one that's actually just been added to the story maps this week. And it's basically just to share scripts and JavaScripts and that kind of thing. So I'm going to skip over that one. Next, we've got media. So this is where you would find your map options. So if I click that, which I will do in a second, it will take me to that content where I showed you before. So the my content here. And any map that I have created, I can actually embed that into my story map there, okay? Next, we've got image. Same thing as what I did for the cover photo. You can either upload it from a link, so a URL from the internet, or you can just upload it from your computer. Image gallery, exactly the same as image, upload it from a link or from your computer, and it's basically just like a collage. Next, you've got video. And so this is any video from your laptop, your desktop, or from, say, from example, YouTube. You can actually copy a link into YouTube. And a good thing about this story maps is it actually doesn't allow the advertisements. So you just get the actual video as well. This one here is the option for the audio. So remember how I told you on the deep sea one that Kathy was actually talking, whether you could hear it or not, she was. That's where you would go to actually embed your audio. You've got this section here, which is called embed. So anything like if you create a survey 123, which is a different application that you have access to with your school's account. I actually did a session on survey 123 last year. So if you created a survey 123, you can actually embed that into your story as well. So people can actually do your survey and submit it whilst reading your story. Okay. Next, we've got that swipe option. Now that was that before and after that I was showing you that I said might be good for like deforestation or before and after the war. And I will show you again how to do all these. I'm just going through the options. Next, you've got timeline. Now, obviously timeline is pretty straightforward. I don't think I need to explain that. It creates a timeline. The bottom three are the immersive sections. So these are the sections that actually dive deeper into what makes story maps so amazing and like immersive and engaging. So the first one is slideshow. Okay, and I'm just going to give you a quick example of what slideshow actually looks like. So if I click on this one, slideshow looks like this. So you've got a very striking image in the background and you've got your content at the foreground. And then you can click next and the image changes and the wording changes. And you can do as many of these as you want. So this is slideshow, okay? So when I reference slideshow in a minute, remember it's this one. Sorry for that not loading very quickly then. Okay. Next, we've got sidecar. Now, sidecar is whether the imagery in the background changes as I scroll. So an example of that one would be this Olympic facility that we did. Sorry, I'm just going to space this one. And as I scroll down now, I can click different things so that different things appear. And as I scroll down, my map or my imagery or my video or whatever it might be actually changes. So can you see how the map layers are changing as I'm scrolling? Okay, so that would be the sidecar. And then lastly, map tour. Map tour is the one that we saw originally on the malaria one, where as I'm scrolling, it's actually just bouncing around the world, showing me different things. And you can put as much content in here as you want, similar to the malaria one, when they were bouncing around the world. So this is actually the world tour, yeah? I just really wanted to go through them quickly with you before I actually start putting them together, just so that you've got a bit better idea what they do. So to start my story then, I'm going to implement text. So I just click on text and it defaults to paragraph. Now, if I want to create those headings, just like you would in Word, I've got to start with a heading. So sea, surface, temps. And I'm just going to make this very quick one. But as you can see, as I've added a heading, now there's a heading here that I can actually click on that. So the more headings that I start to populate my story map with, the more content I'll have to actually click on and have my table of content. Just exactly the same as you would in Word. Okay. So now, if I want to just do a normal paragraph, I can just select paragraph. I can select bullet points, numbered, quotes, whatever I might want to do. And I just start typing. So blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Then what I might want to do is put an image in. So maybe I want to put an image in which case I would click the little plus again and select image. If I choose link, I can actually go to just Google and say, you know, and then maybe just find an image that might be relevant. So just for the sake of it, I will just use a picture of waves. Copy the image link, go back to my story map and paste it in. And there's my image, okay? I can add captions. I can also change the location of it. So for example, if I want it on the side and my writing here, I can do that. I can also change it to be huge, or I can change it to be on the other side. It's completely up to you what you want to do with your stories, okay? So for now, I'm just going to leave it on that side. And maybe I'll just take that, and you can always move this stuff. And all I did was I grabbed the little 3 dots there and I just moved it around. Yeah. Now you'll start to see the more content I put in, you get these little plus things everywhere. All you need to do to add more content anywhere you want is just click on one of the little pluses. So if I go down here, I can actually just carry on my story. If I want to embed something else, I just simply scroll to where I want to continue, and the little plus follows me wherever I go. So if I press plus now, then I can actually embed my map. So I'm just going to hit map. And it's actually going to bring up my content from before, which I showed you. It's got my group's content, my organization's content. So this is the map that I'm going to use. I'm just going to click on that one. And here, it's actually showing both of my layers that I've got in this map. And I've got ability to turn off which one I might want to see. So for this example, I'm just going to talk about the sea surface temperature. So I'm actually going to turn off that coral bleaching layer. And now you can see that I've got a lot more ability over it. So if I go to this settings tab here, I can allow people to navigate around my map. Well, for this one, I don't want them to do that because I want them to just look at Australia. I can have my legend available, which now it's down here. And if you want, you can actually choose to keep that open so people don't have to click and close it. Okay. This map actually has a time animation on it. So it shows the sea surface temperatures changing over time. So I can choose to keep that on, or I can choose to turn it off. You can see that little play button in the middle is gone now. Okay. And then I can choose also to just have an overmap view of my map, which basically just gives readers a little bit more interaction with what's going on. Once I'm happy with the way it looks, I just go and place map down here at the bottom. Whatever your map looks like in the preview that it was just showing you is what it will look like on your story map. So say, for example, you're really, really zoomed in into Cairns and you don't want to be. If you place it, it will be really zoomed in into Cairns. Okay, so whatever your preview looks like, that's what it will look like. Okay, so now I've embedded my map into my story. So, you know, I can go ahead and add more text. You know, I can start typing away with whatever it is that I might want to say. Maybe I want to add a button, you know, sign our petition, and I can actually link a petition. So say, for example, I created a survey 123. I can actually put the link of the survey 123 in here for people to sign our petition. And so they would click on that, and then they would instantaneously be taken to a different website. Yeah. Next, if I go back to the little plus and I add another heading. Now, can you see at the top here, it's formulated another tab for me to click on. And now, maybe instead of a map, maybe I want to put a video in there. So I can click on video. And again, you can upload it from your computer, or you can click a link. So I'm going to go and head over to YouTube. And I'm going to type in coral bleaching. I'm just going to take this top video because it's there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to get the link. So where it says share, I'm going to copy that link. So just like you would anything, I'm just going to copy that link from YouTube, go back to my story map, paste the link and add. Okay, so now I've got that video there from YouTube, which it actually does come with a credit as well to the person that it came from. So, which is really good for you students for referencing. I feel like I am showing you quite a lot of the content without obviously actually writing. Bear in mind that when your students create this, they will have a lot of text involved. It won't just be media after media after media. I'm just doing this quickly to show you what you can actually do with it. Okay. So next, if I go on the little plus, maybe I want to embed one of the swipes. This is a really popular option. People always want to know how to do the swipe. So if I click on that one, I've got some options here. So I can do an image before and after image. So for example, if you've got a screenshot or an image of, the deforestation. I know I keep using that as an example, but I know it's a topic relevant to the current semester. Then I can add an image here, and then the after image here, and then as I swipe, it will just show the difference. However, for this example, I'm actually going to use a map. So if I click on this web map, again, it's going to bring up all the content that I created previously. And if I click on, just like before, it's exactly the same. I get to choose what layers I see and what layers I don't. Okay, so because I'm doing the swipe, I want to show two different things. So for the first one, I want to show just the sea surface temperatures. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit to this specific location. And I'm going to do place map. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the other side. So I do exactly the same thing, click the exact same map. And instead of showing the sea surface temperatures this time, I'm going to show the coral bleaching. Zoom into the same location again and place my map. And now, before, after, coral sea surface temperatures, coral bleaching. So you can see how that works. Yeah, like you can have two different maps, or you can have two different images. And as I swipe, it's actually just showing you what's on one specific area. Okay. Go to the little plus button again. And again, I'm not really going to show you a timeline because it's just a timeline. You all know how a timeline works. I will show you embed though. So for example, if I click that, it's actually going to want a link. So if I go to my survey 123, for example, and I just get a I just get an example. I copy my link from survey 123 and put it into my story map. And now you can see that the survey 123 is embedded into my story, and I can actually click on all these and actually fill them out as I go. Depending on what I want to do, I can rate things, suggest things, and then at the end I can submit. And once I've submitted, it will actually go into my survey 123 content. Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much the media section. Now you've got the immersive. Now I'm just going to spend a few minutes showing you examples of how to do this. But don't forget the slideshow was the one I showed you of the great whites. So this one. So that's the one we're going to look at first. So if I click slideshow, it's going to bring up this page. Okay. And basically all it wants me to do is start adding some content. So if I say, just for an example, I can go here and I can add an image, I can add a map, I can embed something, I can actually have a swipe here, or I can just have a different color in the background. So if I go to image again, I'm just going to use the same image. Now you can see I've got my content here. So words, 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 and I've got a nice image in the background. If I want to add another one so that it goes across similar to this one, all I need to do is go to this little plus down at the bottom here. And I just plus and add another one, continue your story. Coral should be colorful. You can also change that so it's not the American spelling. I'm not even sure I've got a colorful one. Oh. Add, and then you can go from there. And as you can see, you can just start to add different things, and that's basically how you would do it. Okay. If you get a blurry image similar to this one, it's because the actual image is not good. So you can just change the image if you want to, but yeah, that is blurry because the actual image that I have, I actually took that photo, so that's why it's blurry. I'm not a very good photographer. So that's, like I said, that's slideshow. Okay, that's how you would do that one. If I want to add another one, I go to plus button down here, and this time let's look at sidecar. So sidecar is when your content's moving in the background. So like when I was showing the Olympic facility and the content was actually moving. So as I slide down, the content's actually moving in the background. So that one's slideshow. Okay. Yeah, sidecar, sorry. So you've got options here. You've got docked, which means as you're scrolling, it's actually just off to the side, or you've got floating, which as you can see by the preview, it's over the top of the text. Okay, so depends on which one you want to do. I'm going to do floating, done. Exactly the same as before. We're just going to carry on our story. So blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to add my map this time. I know I keep using the same map, which is really boring, but it's just a very quick example. Same thing as before. And now, same thing as what I showed you for the slideshow. For the sidecar, we're just going to plus again. Map again. But this time, I'm just going to choose a different layer. And this one, I'm going to allow my legend so people can actually see what's going on. Map. So now, if I was to preview what we've done so far, it's obviously going to be a bit of a mess because there's not much content and there's not much structure to it. I've kind of just been placing things anywhere just to kind of give you an example. But you can actually just preview your story map at any point to see whether you like it. So that's my cover photo. And as I'm scrolling down, you can see the two areas that we added, and it bounces from each. Okay, I've got my nice image there that we did before. Love my internet when I work from home. I've got my nice image here. I've got my map that I shared. I've got our sign our petition button. I've got my YouTube video. I've got my swipe that we did. I've embedded my survey 1, 2, 3 here. And then here, I've got a slideshow going on. So this is the slideshow that we created. And then this is the sidecar. So as you can see, my text is actually over the top of the map. And as I scroll, the image is changing and the text is floating over the surface here. Okay. So that's what we've done so far, and we've pretty much used nearly everything. The only thing that we haven't used so far is the bounce around the world map tour. So if I click on this map tour, you've got some options here. I always start from scratch because I just find that it walks you through it enough to where you can just start from scratch. It says, do you want guided? So basically, as I scroll down, it's going to look like this one. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll up. It's going to look like this one. This one's guided, where as I scroll, it just bounces to whatever's next. Or it's going to say, do you want explorer? And that's the one that we saw before with the malaria, where you can actually click on whichever one you want. So for this one, I'm going to do guided. I'm going to click next. And then it's going to ask you, Do you want the media to be the focus, so the imagery or, you know, the YouTube video, or do you want the map to be the focus? So I'm going to choose my map. I'm going to press done. And I can't stress enough how much StoryMaps really does try to help you walk through it and kind of hold your hand through it. So the more you play with it, the more that you'll actually just get a grip on it, because it really does try to walk you through what you might want to do. So this one, if I do add my video, maybe I'll just add the same video that I had before, just to show you that it can be done. So put my link in there. And as you can see now, the video from YouTube is populated here. You can have a title. So Australia. And then you can have a bit of a description here, whatever you want to write. And then you go to this button here, add location. And you can actually just drop the pin anywhere on the map, or you can search the location here at the top. So I'm just going to drop the pin on the Great Barrier Reef right in the middle. And I'm going to press add location. Now afterwards, once I've added all my points, if I want to go into this map options here and change the colors, maybe I want my point to be red so it really stands out. Maybe I want it to be a 3D world instead of a 2D world. You know, maybe I want it to open on my current location. Whatever it is that you want to do, you've got options here and you just press done. And now that's what it looks like. Exactly the same as the previous two. All I need to do to add another point is just go to this little plus on the side here and then add something else. So maybe this time I'll do an image again. Now, maybe we want to say coral bleaching in Papua New Guinea. Give a description. And then for my second point, I would put it in Papua New Guinea somewhere. I'll do. And you can see what's happening now. Like, it's actually bouncing between the two. And so when I preview again, bear with my ridiculously stupid home internet. As I preview again, and I scroll, you've got point 1 now, which has got the YouTube video attached to it. And as I scroll, you've got point 2, which apparently I didn't save. That was stupid of me, wasn't it? Anyway, you get the idea. That's how you do it. But you actually, you know, make sure that you give yours as an option before I did. Okay, so is there any questions so far about anything that I've shown? You can do credits here at the bottom as well. So if you need your students to do like a reference list or anything like that, is there anything that anyone needs me to go over again? Is there any uncertainty? Anything like that, please have a few minutes now to just like think of some questions, and I'll actually just check on these chats. So can you do a really basic story map with simple heading, an introduction that tells the story via clickable links? Yeah, absolutely. So you can create a story map on anything that you want to do. So if you just want a really basic story map where you've got a heading and then underneath you've just got like some links, you'd basically just like say, you know, say for example, I do text. I can just say follow the link. Okay. And then I can just highlight and then link, you know, maybe for example, I want, let's just pick a random website, Google, why not? So I can just steal that, put the link there, and then away you go. And now you can see I can actually, it's not saving things, sorry. And now you can see I can actually click on that link. So if that's something that you want to do, go for it. If you want to just include a heap of pictures and videos and audio files, go for it. It's completely up to you what you want to do with it. Yeah, if you can imagine it, you can basically create it with a story map. Okay. Do you have to credit images and content source from the internet? It depends, I guess, where you get it from. So, for example, it depends what you're doing with your story map. If you would use an image in your, say, for example, you were to create a Word document for your assessment, and you were to, use an image from Google, you would normally have a little reference for that image, wouldn't you, in your Word document? So whatever your normal practices are, definitely still do them within your story map, okay? Have a look. Currently, we are using Google Earth Pro in our school. We have issues with students uploading images. iPhone. Yeah, any kind of image. So any platform of image can actually be uploaded. So if you've got it saved on your desktop, that's all you need. Or if you've got it saved in like an online, OneDrive or something like that, all you need is the link. Yeah. So that any images are completely able to be embedded on this. Can we get in touch with you if you are stuck? Absolutely. And I can always do one-on-one online sessions as well. So for example, if you have gone away from this session and you've tried to create your own story map and you're just not getting it, don't forget about the Esri Australia page and the story maps, creating a story map video here. But if you're just having an absolute nightmare with it, which I have better faith in you all than that, but if you are having a nightmare with it, please just do contact me. I will write my email at the bottom of here so that you can all jot it down if you need to. That's my email, so please take a copy of that if you need to. Get in touch with me at any point. I'm always happy to help. As mentioned before, I do look after every educational institute in the whole of Australia, but I'm normally pretty good at responding. So I actually pride myself on being able to respond within a timely manner. So yeah, definitely send me through an email.
Jenna, ESRI.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to do this quickly. Thank you. Told you I'm a scientist. I can't spell. Okay. Is there a preferred browser to use? Nope, not at all. I'm currently using, what am I using? What is this? I don't even know what my browser is, to be honest with you. It's my default one from work, but no, they work perfectly fine in any browser. So I've used this in Google Chrome. I've used it in, I think this is Internet Explorer, what I'm using. I've never used it in Firefox, but yeah, it works in everything. Still the top of the screen. Alex Judd, that is a strange comment. Maybe can have a session where I can actually see your screen so I can see what's going on. Sometimes, especially if you're working on a laptop, you have to do control and like the minus key, because sometimes the screen is too big for the actual laptop. This happens quite often with little laptops. And so if you just press control and like minus, then you can actually kind of zoom out a little bit and get a little bit better picture on the screen. Does it work on iPads? I have never used it on an iPad. It works on iMacs and like MacBooks, so I assume so, yes. I've never actually used it on an iPad though. Any other questions before I give the floor back to Vanessa? Okay, if anybody does think of any questions, please do send them through to me. That is my email. It's actually correct this time, so thank you for correcting me. And yeah, please do send your comments or questions or whatever through. If you don't have an Esri account, all you need to do is go to our website, Esri Australia GIS tools, and then just request one here. Button here. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, please do send it through. And thank you. I hope that was useful to everybody.
Thank you so much, Jenna. We really appreciate your time and your knowledge that you've given everyone today. Just to finish off, we've got some other programs and events coming up that may be of interest. The program is now open and we are still taking registrations for semester 1. This program will be particularly helpful for those who would like some regular support from experienced teachers and peers. The program is being run via Microsoft Teams with small groups of mentees being paired with mentors. You can see our The Geospatial Enrichment Series Webinar 4 is running on the 15th of March, and this session will focus on the applications in the classroom for story maps. And this will be presented by Julian Woolhouse and Andrei Chadzinski from Ivanhoe Girls Grammar School. Together, Julian and Andrei will demonstrate how they have engaged their students with story maps, the types of projects they have completed, and they'll give examples that you can apply yourselves within the teaching practice. Remember to please save the date for our GTAV annual conference. It's taking place on Monday, the 7th of August at the Jasper Hotel in Melbourne. And the fieldwork day will be held on Tuesday, the 8th of August at various locations. Lastly, we've just launched our Geography Resources Catalogue for 2023. This offers a huge range of resources, concept posters and workbooks to help you better promote and teach geography. And that can be found on our website under resources. As always, we greatly value your feedback. The QR code on the screen will take you to a short feedback survey. If you don't mind taking a minute to complete it. And in the coming days, we will send you an email with the recording of this session, along with the accompanying resources. So thank you everyone for attending today, and a massive thank you to Jenna for your time and knowledge. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.